Today I want to talk about one of the most beautiful voices opera has ever known, Mirella Freni, a singer whose sound was utterly feminine, utterly natural, and utterly unforgettable. She gave us nearly 50 years of artistry, from her debut in the mid-1950s to her final performances in the 2000s. If you'd like to support my work or even study with me, you'll find all the links in the description. Mirella Freni was born in Modena in 1935. It was a city that seemed destined to produce great voices. Just across town, Luciano Pavarotti was growing up at the same time. Their mothers worked together in the local tobacco factory, and as the story goes, the two babies even shared the same wet nurse. Pavarotti would always call Freni his milk sister. She would always joke, "Guess who got all the milk?" It's a story that has passed into opera legend, but it also points to something real. Freni and Pavarotti were bound from the very start. Their lives, their careers, even their sound worlds would intertwine. Freni's musical talent was obvious early. At the age of 10, she sang Un bel dì vedremo on a children's radio competition. That's an ambitious choice for any child, but even then her gift for line and expression shone through. She studied with Ettore Campogliani, the legendary teacher who also trained Pavarotti, Renata Tebaldi, Renata Scotto, and many others. Campogliani's emphasis on natural breath, clarity, and unforced tone would remain central to Freni's singing for the rest of her life. Her stage debut came in 1955 in her hometown Modena as Michaela in Carmen. She was only 20, but even then her ability to combine youthful freshness with vocal poise was striking. The 1960s brought her international breakthrough. She appeared at Glyndebourne in Mozart and Donizetti, perfect training ground for her control of style and language. Then, in 1963, came her La Scala debut. She was Mimi opposite Gianni Raimondi as Rodolfo in a production conducted by Herbert von Karajan. That partnership with Karajan would shape her career for decades. Soon after, she sang Mimi in Vienna and Berlin, and in 1965 she made her Metropolitan Opera debut, again as Mimi. For New York audiences, it was an electrifying introduction. Critics spoke of her fresh, true lyric voice, and audiences fell in love. So what was it about this voice? First, the timbre. Freni's sound had an unmistakable warmth, golden, womanly, luminous. It wasn't a massive instrument, but it felt perfectly focused. You could sit in the farthest seat in the theatre and still feel the glow. Second, the line. Her legato was one of the finest of her time. Notes just didn't connect. They seemed to melt into each other. She knew how to spin a phrase so that it felt inevitable, as if Puccini or Verdi had written the line for her alone. Third, the detail. Freni was an interpreter of text as much as of melody. Her diction was clear, her consonants precise but never intrusive. Every word was alive. She gave you character without exaggeration. And finally, the femininity. Her sound was unmistakably that of a woman. Utterly feminine, utterly natural. Even in moments of great passion or high drama, she never lost that core of gentleness. It made her singing intensely personal. Freni was known for her discipline. She never allowed herself to be pushed into roles she felt were wrong. She refused Turandot outright, saying it would destroy her voice. She avoided Norma, though she loved Bellini, because she knew the part required a heavier weight than she possessed. And most famously, she had a reluctance to sing Tosca on stage. She recorded it magnificently, but felt that in the theatre, the role would not suit her. That discipline meant her voice remained fresh and beautiful long after many of her contemporaries had faded. It was a model every singer today should follow. Mimi in La Bohème was her signature. She sang it hundreds of times. Listen to the way she sings Mi chiamano Mimi. It is like overhearing a young woman speaking directly to you, with warmth, honesty, and vulnerability. Other roles became central too. Liu in Turandot, Desdemona in Otello, Elisabetta in Don Carlo, Amelia in Simon Boccanegra. Later in her career, she moved into Andrea Lecouvreur and Fedora. I heard her in that role. Roles that demanded not just a voice, but a real stage personality. Her connection with Pavarotti was unique. They weren't just colleagues, they were family. Their shared upbringing in Modena, their studies with the same teacher, their debuts around the same time, all of it made their partnership natural. When you hear their voices together in La Bohème or L'Elisir d'Amore, you hear something beyond good singing. You hear two voices that grew out of the same soil with the same roots. Their duets have a warmth, a trust that can't be faked. Her relationship with Karajan produced some of the greatest opera recordings of the 20th century. He admired her honesty, her discipline, her ability to serve the score without ego. Together they recorded La Bohème, Madama Butterfly, Otello, Don Carlo, Manon Lescaut. These are still reference recordings today. Karajan once said that Freni was one of the few singers who could sing exactly as the composer intended without distorting the line. I had the privilege of hearing Mirella Freni live only once in Fedora with Jose Carreras. I'll never forget it. The atmosphere in the theatre was electric. Carreras was in fine voice, but when Freni entered, the energy shifted. Her sound in person was extraordinary, fuller and darker than on recordings, yet still easy, effortless. The voice carried like a natural force. Every phrase seemed to bloom out of the breath. There was no pushing, no strain, just a warm, golden ribbon of sound that filled the hall. In that moment, I understood why critics spoke of her as the embodiment of sincerity. She wasn't performing Fedora, she was Fedora. In her 50s and 60s, Freni expanded carefully into heavier repertoire. She took on Adriana Lecouvreur, Fedora, Tatiana in Eugenie Onegin, Lisa in The Queen of Spades, each role suiting her developing instrument. Fuller, richer, but still true to its core identity. She sang until 2005 when she made her final stage appearance as Joan of Arc in Washington. A 50-year career at that level is almost unheard of. After her retirement, Freni and her husband Nikolai Gaurov founded the Centro Universale del Bancanto in Vignola near Modena. There she taught young singers, passing on her understanding of discipline, honesty, and fidelity to the score. Those who study with her remember not only her technical insights, but her warmth and humanity. She never made it about herself. She made it about the music. Mirella Freni died in 1920 at the age of 84. The tributes poured in from around the world. Her legacy is immense. She showed that beauty and truth are not opposites, but partners. She showed that femininity in singing can be a source of strength. She showed that discipline in repertoire choice is the key to longevity. For singers today, Freni is a model. For listeners, she is a treasure. So what is Mirella Freni's legacy? It is the knowledge that opera's greatest power lies in honesty. She never shouted, never forced, never distorted herself to please fashion. She simply sang with truth, and that truth reached millions. Mirella Freni, the voice of truth and beauty, and one of the most beloved sopranos of all time. Thank you.